What is good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. And today we've got our first top 10 list with the Nintendo Switch 2. It's been over 2 months since the system's been out, and while there's been a bunch of great games already released when it comes to Nintendo's first party and also some third-party titles here and there, things are going to keep on coming strong overall as we've got a bunch of cool games to go over for the rest of the year. Now, in this list, I wanted to do upcoming as in games coming out in 2025. So if the game is coming out in 2026, we're not going to have that on the list, and we'll probably wait for later when it comes to those games. Now, of course, not every game can make the top 10. So of course, if there's games that are missing on this list that you're looking forward to on the Nintendo Switch 2, make sure to let me know in the comment section below what your favorite games are for the rest of the year on the platform. So let's go ahead and jump right into it here, starting off at number 10, and we've got a dual number 10, and that is Borderlands 4 and Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. I couldn't really pick between the two of them because I'm not a massive fan of either franchise. I will say that I've probably had a little bit more fun with the Borderlands franchise than I have with the Souls franchise overall, but they're both still incredible games that appeal to a lot of people that are going to be very important for Nintendo's strategy for the rest of the year, and that a lot of you guys are looking forward to as well, based off of the gameplay that they've shown from Borderlands 4. That's coming out on October 3rd. It looks like it's going to be pretty good, although we have to see how the Nintendo Switch 2 version holds up with the 30 FPS with some dips here and there, but so far from what they've shown, it looks pretty good. Now, Elden Ring haven't really shown much, but the big thing is that at the end of August here at the Gamescom presentation, it's going to be playable, the actual Nintendo Switch 2 version of Elden Ring. So we're going to see how it looks, how it runs, how it plays, and how people feel it is compared to the other platforms, which also were not necessarily smooth sailing at launch back in 2022. But Elden Ring, huge game. These are the big type of third-party games the Nintendo Switch 2 absolutely needs overall. So Borderlands 4 and Elden Ring Tarnished Edition make it in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, Octopath Traveler 0. This is a game that I'm very excited about when it comes to the Octopath battle system, the Brave and Default overall. It's a really cool system that allows you to store up charges or more turns to have multiple uses or to unleash havoc on enemies right then and there. I love the combat in it, but what makes Octopath Traveler 0 different from other HD 2D games and even other Octopath games is that you actually pick your own character. It's a character creator, and with this game you have town building elements in there, so this is a very unique and different game. Now apparently this game is repurposed from the original mobile game that came out, which is a good idea because I do not want to play the Octopath Traveler mobile game. So the fact that they actually repurposed it, added new content, polished it up, added a bunch of stuff to make it a real console game overall and not have to worry about all the stuff that comes with a mobile game is definitely good. You can count on the music being top tier. You can count on the gameplay and the combat being awesome. And the best thing when it comes to the HD 2D games on the Nintendo Switch 2 and overall just the AA games on the Switch 2 is no more crusty 30 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2, because we had to deal with that with the Nintendo Switch 1 and there was no reason, in my opinion, or at least there was a reason. But now we have 60 FPS, and we've seen when it comes to the Adventures of Elliot. Looking forward to that game in 2026. But yes, I think that Octopath Traveler 0 is going to be a fantastic title. Look for it to be another game in the long line of HD 2D and Octopath Traveler games that do really well. Coming in at number 8, Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Star-Crossed World. Now this game probably would have been higher if it wasn't just a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of a game that we've played, but at the same time, it's still going to be a really, really good game. One of the biggest things with this game, and to me actually makes it more perfect, is that they're fixing a lot of the issues with the original game. Well, what were the issues? Well, one, when it comes to some of the content with the base package, a bit too easy. So you have the Star-Crossed World in it that's probably going to be more difficult in terms of a base campaign going through. But then also two, and this is the big one for me, it is going to be the 60 FPS. That is one of the big problems overall. This 60 FPS is something that I wanted in the original game. It was at 30 FPS, and it just made it, while still good, it made it to where it wasn't necessarily where I wanted it to be for an action 3D platformer type of game. But now we have the 60 FPS. It looks better, it runs better, it's got new content. Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is going to be fantastic and might be one of the better games when it comes to overall score and everything released this year. The original got an 85, this one could be higher. Controls, gameplay, graphics, everything is really good with this. I love the different power-ups. They've got new ones in this expansion, so I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. So Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Star-Crossed World comes in at number 8. All right, guys, number 7. Let's talk about Splatoon Raiders. This game still could be for 2025. We don't know at this point. I was contemplating maybe not putting it in, but I think that if Nintendo showed it off or announced it on the Nintendo Today app, I mean, yeah, it's probably going to be 2025. So that's the reason why I have it on here. Now, the reason why this is really exciting, one, because it's a brand new game. It's not a remake, remaster, re-release, or port, or something like that. But also because it's a new spin-off within the Splatoon universe, which we do know runs at 4K 60 FPS when it comes to Splatoon 3. So if they built off of that for the Nintendo Switch 2, which it does look better when it comes down to it, so it might not run at that, but still, I think that it's going to run and look fantastic. Splatoon has always been one of those franchises that does that, and it looks like it's going to have a bunch of cool single-player elements, and I love the multiplayer aspect of Splatoon. I love the single player that they have in there, but this one seems to be like it's going to take it to the next step when it comes to progression, when it comes to leveling up, when it comes to different things that you can do with your base, and it's going to have a brand new setting with great characters as well. I'm very much looking forward to this. Splatoon Raiders could be a sneaky breakout hit when it launches, maybe in 2025. We'll see. Maybe it's an early 2026 game, but it's still one of the best upcoming titles to look forward to on the Nintendo Switch 2. But before we get into the next game, if you're enjoying this video, please make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you are someone new. Click that notification bell to get my vids as soon as they drop, and let me know what you're looking forward to the most when it comes to upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 games. All right, let's go ahead and jump right back into this list. We're in at number 6, and that is Hades 2, and I am very much looking forward to this game. I love the original Hades on the Nintendo Switch 1, and I played Hades 2 when it comes to like the demo that they had, or like the testing period on PC back when I had a Steam Deck. I played it on there, I played it on my PC. I thought it was fantastic. It is essentially Hades, but just better, and that's okay. You got a new character, you got some new color schemes that look really good, you got a bunch of new god powers, and the abilities look great, but it controls just as smooth, if not better in some regards. You got all sorts of cool stuff that you can do, havoc that you can reach. It is going to be great to be able to play that. Not on my Steam Deck. Nothing wrong with Steam Deck, but I want to be able to play it on the TV and also on the go very seamlessly with the Nintendo Switch 2. Looking forward to seeing what they do with HD Rumble 2 as well. I think that Hades was one of the best games on the Nintendo Switch 1. It kind of came out of nowhere for me because I do not like rogue games. I'm not a big rogue fan, but Hades was one of the first, if not the first rogue game that I actually decided to go ahead and beat overall. Although, you know, with Hades, you got to beat it multiple times, but I really don't feel like seeing rogue games through to the end, and I actually did that with Hades 1. So Hades 2 is going to be more of the same, but also more of awesome because that game is so good on the original Nintendo Switch and PC, PlayStation 5. It's on everywhere. But Hades 2, it's coming out, I think, console exclusive on Switch 1 and Switch 2 when it comes down to it, and then it'll probably come over to other platforms outside of that. PC, it's going to be all same day, and I think it's still set for 2025, so we'll see more of that game also at Gamescom 2025. So Hades 2 makes it to number 6 on the list. All right, coming in at number 5, Hollow Knight Silksong, the much anticipated, the much delayed, the much who knows where this game is. It has finally resurfaced again for the multiple times it resurfaced again in 2021, then resurfaced again earlier this year at Nintendo's Switch 2 presentation. And then people were saying, where is it at? It's not at the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. It's not at the Indie Show. Calm down, guys. Relax. It's going to be at Gamescom 2025. It's going to be launching with the ROG Ally Xbox thingy as well. So it's coming out later this year, and it's going to be really good. Hollow Knight was fantastic originally, loved the game, but now Hollow Knight 2 Silksong, it's going to take the base of what Hollow Knight did and take it up to the next level. Everything that we've seen from this game shows that it's going to be a masterpiece. It's going to be 2D Metroidvania perfection, and that's why people are so excited and also frustrated that they've been so kind of crazy. Team Cherry has been kind of crazy not showing this game and not showing what's going on with it. I'm not sure what the strategy is when it comes to Hollow Knight or why they did what they did, going all the way back to E3 2019 on the Nintendo Switch 1. That's how long it's been with this game. I have no idea what's going on, like 6 years, but it's finally coming out. But it's also going to be playable on the Nintendo Switch 2, and that will be the version that I'll be picking up, and I think it's going to be fantastic. So Hollow Knight Silksong finally, hopefully, potentially, comes out this year, and it's number 5 on my list. All right, coming in at number 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. And this game, while I've already played and beat it and enjoyed it thoroughly on the PlayStation 4, I think I played it on my PS4 Pro back in 2020, I am still looking forward to playing it on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it ranks high on this list because of a couple different things that goes beyond just the game itself. It's the fact that we've got major, big, mainline Final Fantasy on the Nintendo Switch 2 system. This is very important overall for the future of the franchise on Nintendo platforms. This is the first time that we've seen in a while. Yes, we've had classic Final Fantasy come to Nintendo platforms. We've had stuff like Final Fantasy 6, 7, 8, 9. I know all of that, but they have intentionally, it seems like, skipped major big Final Fantasy from the 360 PS3 era and all the way to this point on a Nintendo platform. This is the first time that we're actually getting that here in a long time, since like what, Final Fantasy 6 on the Super Nintendo. It has been a long time when it comes down to it, since we've seen a mainline big Final Fantasy when it comes to anything that's somewhat new when it comes to the games come out on a Nintendo platform, and this is finally it. Now, we did have Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. That doesn't count when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 1. So it's been a long time, and we still don't have Final Fantasy 13. We don't have Final Fantasy 14. We don't have a lot of the newer Final Fantasies, and even some of those are kind of old now at this point. Final Fantasy 13 2, Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 15, like the list goes on, and we finally now have something. They are going to be looking at the sales of this game. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is an upgraded version of the original Final Fantasy VII Remake that adds in extra content. It looks good. I think it's going to run decently enough on the Nintendo Switch 2, and of course it will be playable at Gamescom 2025. So this is one of the most important games, and I think it's a really good game as well, with a few issues here and there when it comes to pacing, but the Remake Intergrade version of it definitely helps out with the extra content added in. So Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade makes it the number 4 on my list. But before we get into the next one, editor OJ here, I am so sorry because I cannot believe I forgot to add in Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. So I am doing a special editor's move, and I am inserting Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion into this top 10 list. It would definitely be here. It'd be in the upper portion of my list here. I'm really looking forward to Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. I think that this game is going to be fantastic from everything that we've seen so far. I love the graphics in the game. It's going to be fully on cartridge here in the West. You also got all sorts of advanced gameplay mechanics that make it significantly better than the original game on the Nintendo Switch 1 and even the PC version. They have faster gameplay, they have more weapons, more abilities, really cool story points that they're putting in here. The first game was great, but this game seems to evolve everything from it, and it just looks awesome. The gameplay looks fast and fun, and I think that it's really going to take what we know about these different type of mech games and make it the first real true hit mech game for this generation on the Nintendo Switch 2, which I don't think there's going to be a ton of them, and I'm not just like the biggest fan of mech games overall, but I love Daemon X Machina, and I like old school Gundam, and this kind of seems to fuse both of those together in a very good way while making a ton of improvements over the original game. So Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, special insertion into the top portion of the list here. All right, guys, we are in the top 3. Here we go. Number 3, Kirby Air Riders. We haven't seen much of it. Yes, I agree. Not a lot of it, but it's still one of the most important games because it's from who? You guys know. Masahiro Sakurai. Sakurai, one of the greatest all time, one of the most unique people ever in the gaming industry as a developer, and him bringing his expertise of Super Smash Brothers to a racing slash action slash, I'm not even sure. I'm pretty sure this game's going to surprise us in terms of what it is overall. That is awesome. That is something that we absolutely needed in the first number of months on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, if you look at a game like Kid Icarus Uprising, I've talked about this before in previous videos, he took what people thought was just a simple 2D side-scrolling platformer action game and turned it into a 3D beast on the Nintendo 3DS. It had so many elements and combat details and fusions and online multiplayer and stuff that you never even thought was possible with the franchise of Kid Icarus. And I think that we're going to see something similar here with Kirby Air Riders. It's more than meets the eye, because that's how Sakurai's games always are. So I'm excited to see how he mixes up the formula, how he takes what was there before, but then adds in a lot of new elements to the modern era. It totally reminds me of that, because Kid Icarus was essentially a somewhat forgotten franchise that nobody really cared too much about, and he brought that back in such a tasteful and unique way. Kirby Air Riders is not a forgotten franchise when it comes to Kirby, but it's kind of a forgotten game at times with a really small cult audience from the GameCube. So I think he's going to do a lot of interesting and new things to revitalize this, just like he did with Kid Icarus. So Kirby Air Riders, still set for 2025. I think we're going to get a Nintendo Direct in September that goes over more details with Masahiro Sakurai himself presenting the information. So Kirby Air Riders makes it in at number 3 on my list. All right, coming in at number 2, Pokemon Legends ZA. And yes, this is a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, but it's a dual launch as well. We have not played the game beforehand, and you're going to want to play this game on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, for anybody who's thinking, oh, I could just play it on the Nintendo Switch 1, the 30 FPS, the resolution won't be too bad. Guys, I'm telling you, yes, it'll probably be okay, but it's going to be crusty. What they've been showing so far, they've been showing the Nintendo Switch 2 version, and yes, the graphics aren't the best graphics in the world, but man, it looks significantly better from the trailer that they first showed with Pokemon Legends ZA on the Nintendo Switch 1 and what they showed on the Nintendo Switch 2. And the reason why frame rate and resolution matters a little bit more here, and I'm leaning more towards the frame rate, is because this is the first real true blue mainline action RPG Pokemon game. We've had hybrids before. Pokemon Legends Arceus is a nice little hybrid at times, but it's still at its core a turn-based RPG. This is a full action RPG with cooldowns and timers and all of that. It reminds me of kind of like a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and a bit more. So you have to move around with your trainer so you don't get hit with stuff, and you've got to command them to move around and everything. So you're going to want that 60 FPS. You're going to want that extra oomph and detail in the graphics. There is a Pokemon Legends ZA bundle that's coming out. So if you don't have a Nintendo Switch 2, you can pick that one up with the game. You get a little bit off of the title itself, so I highly recommend that if you're trying to get into it. And for me, like I said, the Switch 1 version, it's there, but the Switch 2 version with the better enhanced resolution and frame rate is going to be the version to play. It is going to be a better game, and I think that looking at it from what they've shown, they haven't shown too much of it, but they've got some sauce with some of the characters and the style, and I think the gameplay is going to be unique and fun, and they've got the ZA Battle Royale going, the nighttime stuff, the daytime. I think that this is going to be a fantastic game. Not going to sit here and say that it's going to be like Game of the Year or anything like that, but it's going to be a very fun game that takes things in a very different and I would say unique way compared to Pokemon Legends Arceus and what they've done before with the other titles. So for me, I'm very much looking forward to this game. And if you're going to the Pokemon Championships coming up, there will be a playable demo as well if you're watching it in this time around. But anyway, upcoming games, it's looking good. I cannot wait for Pokemon Legends ZA, and that's why it makes it the number 2 on my list. All right, coming in at number 1, I think you guys all know what's going down here. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, number 1 on my list, and I can put down a litany of reasons why. 1, Samus is back with Metroid Prime. I'm not the biggest first-person fan, but you know what? It's one of those things for me is that I've been waiting so long. I love the Prime aspect. I love the different types of shooting mechanics and stuff that they have in there. I just have a problem with me getting a little bit nauseous when it comes to first-person games, but I'm going to do my best to play through this one. But I think that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond does a lot of really cool things. Let's start off with the psychic powers. That is something new to Samus. That is something new to the Metroid series overall. They've always had these little gimmicks here and there with the combat, but this one is a brand new gimmick, and it looks like it's going to be really cool with different puzzles in addition to combat as well. Another thing that also gets me very excited is the technical aspects of this game. You're looking at 120 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2 edition in performance mode, or you can play it at 4K 60 in the quality mode as well. So that's going to be awesome to finally see Metroid kind of get the system that can take advantage of what it can do. Even though it's still a Switch 1 game, the Switch 2 is so much more powerful. You're going to be able to get that in a much better quality overall. And I think for me, at least, when it comes to playing a game and not getting nauseous, having 120 FPS is going to help out depending on the display that I use it on my OLED TV here, or even if I'm playing on the portable mode as well. So that's also exciting. Another thing that also gets me really excited about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is where they take the story aspects of this when it comes to Samus and what they do with the overall story. Metroid has one of the best, I would say, lore and histories out there, despite it being somewhat muted when it comes to how they do their storytelling. It takes a little bit of a backseat, kind of lets you kind of explore at your own with scanning and getting details that type of way that you can totally miss if you don't scan every single thing. And I think that Metroid, especially after Metroid Dread, man, there's so much stuff to still explore, and it's still exciting to see exactly what Samus is going to do and what characters show up. You know that Silas is going to be here as well from Metroid Hunters fame, so I'm very excited to see how that goes, what's going on with those Metroids that are surrounding him, and also everything else, because I know that there's going to be some big twists and turns, just like we saw with Metroid Dread. So that's also another very exciting thing about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I'm also looking forward to seeing how they implement the HD Rumble 2. I think that's one of the underrated features after playing some of the games that have came out this year already. I'm looking forward to seeing how they implement that with all the different psychic powers and blasting that you're going to be able to do as well. So Metroid Prime 4, one of the better looking games, better running games, and also most anticipated for me, even with the story as well and what Samus gets herself into. Man, this is going to be legendary overall. So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond makes it number 1 on my list. So what are your top 10 upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 or just games in general for the rest of 2025? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.